Yeah, so it's, I guess, basically everyone I know who did a non-medical degree went down the either investment banking or management consulting route. And actually, a lot of people I know who do have medical degrees are now trying to go down those routes because they're like, oh, this is my exit strategy for medicine. They do medicine for a bit, they realize they don't like it, and then they're seeing, oh, there's a lot of money over there. There's a lot of money with those people with their fancy suits and stuff. What was investment banking like for you?
Investment banking.
Yeah,
So
I imagine I have no idea what investment, because I actually don't really know what an investment banker does.
I didn't know what it was either. So like I was getting this job and I was like, well, I got to go buy a book about what is investment banking. And, I was like, do I work at a bank? So basically you're supporting people like at my level, like 4 tiers down from the person actually doing the job. I'm like making spreadsheets.
Okay.
And the whole idea was an investment bank works with companies and either helps them go public or acquire companies or get acquired, and kind of strategic financial transactions like that. So my job was like, let's go, some company wants to get acquired, they want to, or someone wants to go buy a company in a space, and they're like, what should we pay for this company? Let's go look at all the private transactions that have happened in the space, and let's try to get an idea of what the valuations were relative to their revenues or relative to their profit. And what are all the public companies in the space valued at on these metrics? Let's come up with an idea of what's a fair price. At the end of the day, you're really just trying to come up with a way to justify the price that you agreed on, because it's a negotiation. So it seemed like a little bit of show, but sometimes it's literally like, we actually need to do the show to send to our shareholders so that we show that we did diligence.
Yep.
But at my level, it was like, hey, I'm going to go home. Why don't you make this spreadsheet till 4 a.m? I'll be back at 8 tomorrow. I hope you're back. And I remember a week went by where I went home and my girlfriend at the time was asleep, and I left before she woke up, and I was like, this is horrible. Like I'm not even seeing the person I live with awake. And I was like, I think I got to take this other job, which was a management consulting job, which wasn't that different. Except you're making PowerPoints
like slides rather than sheets. Yeah. Okay. So you were in investment banking for a few months before realizing that it wasn't for you?
Yeah. So I did the internship. At the end of the internship, they offered me the full-time job. And I was like, okay, I'll take the full-time job because I was like, oh, I need to pay rent. Yeah. So I took the full-time job up until this management consulting thing started. And I was like, hey, I'm going to leave. I'm going to take this other thing. And they were kind of like, okay, like they weren't upset. I kind of was in this weird spot where they didn't offer me they kind of said stay on as a full-time intern instead of here's a full-time offer where you're going to get a bonus and you're going to get all this stuff.
Yep.
They were kind of like, well, we want to keep you. So as soon as there's an opening, we'll give you a real job. Until then, you can be a full-time intern. We're going to pay you a little bit more. But it wasn't clear that I had a full-time job. It was kind of a weird spot. Mm-hmm. And so when the consulting job was ready to start, I was like, thank you. This is a great experience. I learned a lot.
Yep.
Let's see what that's like.
Nice. Okay. So you've done your stint in investment banking. Did that teach you anything other than the fact that you didn't like investment banking?
I mean, I think you just learn how to grind through anything. I think there are some jobs where, especially now, I meet people who are like, I'm just kind of cruising, having fun. I'm living in a van. Like this was, you were working sometimes 22 hours in a day. And you just have to grind through things. And you're working with very, very smart people. Even just the interview process. If I never even took the jobs, having to go through these interview processes where they're asking you to do these complicated case studies, and one time it was with a team, and so I was interviewing with other people who were interviewing together, working on a project, and then asked to give feedback on the people I was interviewing with. So I think I just learned a lot being surrounded by really smart people, and that was fun. But at the end of the day, I think the problem I had with both of those jobs was that it was very hierarchical. It was there was a moment in management consulting where we were trying to close a deal as a firm with a Fortune 500 company. And I obviously wasn't the one selling the deal. That was the managing director. And I was this low level, first year. But a friend of mine happened to have the CEO of that company was his stepmom. And I was going to hang out at his birthday party, and she was there. And I remember asking the managing director, I was like, hey, I'm actually going to go to the CEO of this company that we want to win business from. I'm going to be at her house this weekend. Do you want me to talk to her about this? And he's like, no, that's not your job. And I'm like, I know that's not my job, but it seems like there probably could at least be a conversation worth having here. And it was like, no, that's not your job. And I was just like, it feels, and maybe I was too full of myself, but it felt a little irresponsible for the company to not entertain whether it was a good idea. So it just didn't seem right. And then at the end of the day, everything in my kind of life trajectory changed when I went to this event called Startup Weekend, which was a guy in Boulder started this thing where he got a bunch of people together, engineers, designers, product people, just business people for a weekend. And you all broke into groups and built companies. And I drove up to Boston from New York City and we built this company. It was silly. It was called Desk Happy. It was a Windows app that every some random number of time, like 45 to 90 minutes, it would pop up a thing and it would give you an exercise, like a 5-minute exercise, like stretch, or you know that thing where like the Apple Watch will buzz and tell you to do something. It was that for Windows, but like a decade ago. And I was like, oh my God, we built a company in a weekend. Nobody downloaded the app, like it never went anywhere, but I was like, I want to do this. Like, this is amazing. And everyone was like, well, you should probably live in San Francisco. Like everyone in San Francisco is building tech companies. And I was like, I will do that. So I immediately put in a request. I said, hey, could I move to San Francisco? I'd really like to work in the San Francisco office. They said, sure. I was like, wow, that was so easy. And then like a week into working in San Francisco, I got this call to go to a meeting with a guy I'd never met. And I was like, wow, this senior person wants to meet with me. This is cool. And he was like, you're fired.
Oh, this was the management consulting thing.
Yeah. So it was 2008, middle of the financial crisis. I had thought, they kind of were like, oh, you're this person that just transferred offices. You've got nothing on your plate. You're a great person to let go. So I was fortunately given an opportunity to go do something else, which I think at the time I was kind of disappointed, but in the long run, I think it was a huge impact because it forced me to go find something else to do.
Hey friends, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this clip, then click here for the full unedited episode. And if you like that, then do please consider subscribing to the channel. It means a lot. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.